Gee, we're going to wing it. Go with me. Have you ever wondered if these ugly mugs are as ugly in person?
Oh,
well, you will get your chance. They are. They definitely are. You will get your chance. September 16th and 17th, the Provincial Towing Association of Ontario Tow Show is happening once again this year. COVID has wreaked havoc on tow shows. We are excited that they are back. We will be live at the tow show in Kitchener, September 16th and 17th, put on by the PTAO. There is all kinds of things. There is competitions. There's rollover demonstrations. There's training. There's seminars. There's meeting with the OPP, MTO, talking about new legislation coming to the Towing Association, or to the towing industry. If you are part of the industry, especially if you are in Ontario, this is going to be an event you don't want to miss.
Come on, you don't need to go there for that because we're going to be there. Come hang out with us.
Absolutely. So we will be there. Don't forget, September 16th, 17th in Kitchener, Ontario. Head over to the PTAO's website. Head over to Bingman's. You can book. There's camping. There's cabins. They're booking. They're filling up fast. Be sure to check it out. We can't wait to see you guys there.
So do you want me to put that at the beginning as like an ad read?
Sure. That's a great idea. Yep, before the intro.
Yep. I'll have to cut that out and save it as its own identity. Towman in future, do that.
Tomato, potato.
Like, because I do trail guiding.
Okay.
And so I think that weekend I might have booked myself.
How can you be a trail guide if you've only lived down there for a couple months?
I just ride horses and the horse does the work.
Oh, okay. The horse knows where it's going.
Funny jokes about horses and they give me good tips at the end. It's like the easiest gig I've ever had in my whole life. And so I try to put on like a Southern accent because people come from all over and they're really expecting someone Southern. So how y'all doing today?
Hey everyone, I'm Brad from Calgary.
This is Sean from Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm Terry from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey, this is Larry from Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and you're listening to the Towing Life Podcast.
Welcome to the Towing Life Podcast, where the ditches are deep, the trucks are loaded, but the drivers are not. I am your host, TowManG, and as usual, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. PlainGuy, and our wonderful producer, Sarah, at the bottom there.
Still not enough adjectives. No. And I love that he threw in here at the bottom. Low man on the total pole, our wonderful producer, Sarah.
Hey, everyone.
How are you, G? How are you, Sarah?
I'm doing all right. There's a storm brewing outside, so hopefully, knock on wood, everything's all right. I think I said that last week too, but
we still have not raised enough money through our GoFundMe to get you decent internet.
No,
Elon Musk is working on it. I'm telling you, Starlink, if you would like to sponsor the podcast, wow, I can't think of words today. You are more than welcome to give G some internet. Give him a promo code. That's all we ask. That's all we ask of everybody.
Tesla. I'll take a Tesla too.
Just give G a promo code and all is well. We will be good in the world. Sarah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. I did, however, on my way here, saw my one towing pet peeve that I see out on the road, and I was going to bring it up today. My big towing pet peeve is when I see tow trucks going down the road with their lights flashing.
Yes. I think that's all of our pet peeves.
If it's not, it should be.
It drives me crazy because everybody in my life knows now to slow down and move over whenever they see flashing lights. And then those guys go down the road with their flashing lights and they ruin it for everyone.
They just desensitize the public to these lights. That is a Toronto thing. And I'm sure it happens in many other cities. But it seems to be once you cross this imaginary boundary line, every tow truck is driving down the highway with their lights just going.
Mm-hmm.
And it drives you nuts.
What's the point? If your load is safe and secure, which it should be to legally go down the road, why are you trying to warn people? Unless you're just trying to yell to other tow guys out there, look at me, I've got one on the hook.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm wondering. It's either forgetfulness, which, okay, we all forget to do things.
It happens. Yep.
Or it's a douche move.
Mm-hmm. I'm going guys, it's like 12 o'clock at night and all the lights are going. It's like, how can you even see to drive down the road? You're blinding me in oncoming traffic, which isn't safe at all.
I think 70% is a douche move, and I think 30% is either uneducation or accidental. Meaning, there is scenarios that you require your lights. Hauling an oversized load, some of these office trailers and all that, you do require to run your lights. Towing a Honda Civic down the road with no tow lights and no safety chains is not a reason to have all your lights going down the highway. So, and then accidental happens, especially during the daytime. I have done it myself. You pull up to an off ramp or to a stop sign, and all of a sudden you get a glare off the reflectives, and you go, you look down at your panel, my lights are on, and you turn them off. Like, it does happen.
And then it makes you feel like a dum-dum.
Oh, you feel like you're like, how, and especially when you realize it's been like 10 minutes you were driving with them on.
And you look around to see if anyone's noticing you.
Yeah, absolutely. You feel like an idiot whenever that happens. I'm still going to say 70% is douche. 30% is honest mistakes or uneducated on what are the procedures or what are the laws required. Loading and unloading, guys. Loading and unloading, unless your state or province says otherwise. If your state or province does say otherwise, if there is some rule, somebody can point us. You want to prove you're not a douchebag rolling down the highway with your lights on? Send us where it says that you need to have them on while you are going down the road.
I know a guy who will flick every single beacon light on to load a car in someone's driveway. Truck completely in the driveway and everything.
That's just douche. So yes, if you want to find out how you can reach us to let us know about these rules in your state, city, province, county, country, whatever it may be, where can you find us? You can email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. You can even call us. The phone lines are still there. Haven't used them in a while. I want to make sure they're still running. Everything is good. 249-666-2209. You can head to the website and everything is there. One easy thing to remember, towinglife.ca. We are Canada's #1 towing podcast, so it is .ca. Don't do .com. I don't know where that brings you. I will not be responsible for the pictures that end up on your phone or your computer if you go to towinglife.com. But if you go to towinglife.ca, you will find every way to contact us. If you're watching over on the YouTube side, I did not forget, G. If you're watching over on the YouTube side, you can leave a comment right there, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the follow. It is a free way to help support the show. Every one of you that follow and subscribe on YouTube helps us grow, helps us get more popularity through YouTube, helps the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. It costs you a click. A click. You know, you click your phone over 10,000 times a day. That is a random stat that I made up. But what you can do is one time hit that subscribe over on YouTube. If you like the video, be sure to give a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, be sure to give 2 thumbs downs. Really show them that you mean it. And and let us know if those rules apply to the areas you're in. And if it is being douche or if it is being forgetful. Gee, anything I missed?
I think, I only want to add one thing. If we could find a way to charge people every time they click their mouse, that would be $1 trillion idea right there.
That's going off my idea, but I don't know if my numbers are real or off my numbers. I don't know if they're real. I made them up. 60% of the time, it works 100% of the time.
Sounds good.
True stat. True stat. So, speaking of things that work, G, you have a couple ideas on things to help make operators' lives easier. Am I right on this?
Yeah, like I was finishing up training the new guy the other day, and we gotta get to a call. It's a rear flat tire on this one car, and the tow, it was either change the tire or tow it. And I said to him, I was like, well, what's faster? Either you changing the tire or you towing it. So he tried to change the tire, and they actually didn't want him to change the tire. And I was like, okay, well, it's a tiny, tiny little road to where you couldn't fit the tow truck across it to even load up the car. And I was like, so you're going to block the road to load it in the driveway, or are you going to pull the car out onto the road? It's like, I'm going to pull the car out onto the road to load it. It's like, okay, sounds good. So he pulls the truck head, backs the car out, and pulls the car up to the truck. So the flat tire's at the rear. And I've taught him how to dolly a flat, and if you got the humps in the driveways, to like roll the car onto the top dolly bar to put in the one in the rear and then set the car back on.
Right.
Well, an hour later, we were loaded and started heading down the road for a 5 kilometer tow. And I told him, I was like, do you think it would have been easier if you grabbed it with the tow truck from the rear instead of trying to dollying the flat? He was like, yes. And I'll never do it again. I was like, you might not have the option. That's why I made you do it this way. There's
Oh,
a
yeah.
reason for that. But
Yep.
between you and me and the fence post, it's either I would change the tire. If it's a going far, I'd change the tire just to even tow it, because then I'm not slinging dollies and I don't have to worry about my equipment. Less wear and tear, yada, yada, yada. Or I'm just picking up from the back and dolly in the front.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if guys think, like, if you're stuck in a situation where you're on a 400 highway, or even on, a highway that you might not be able to turn around, whatever the case may be, hooking from the front and dollying the rear with a flat tire, it happens. It's a situation you need to know how to do it, because you will have to face it. But when you are given the option of which way you want to hook it, now again, it depends on factors. What kind of vehicle was it?
Dodge. Well, it was actually like it was a little Buick car, I think.
Okay. That's fair, because if it's something like a 1500, right, going God knows how far, I don't know if I want to be dollying
the front end
at long distance and stuff like that. So,
or Dodge Caravan and run the risk of blowing out that back window going down the road back.
Oh, the flapper windows, if they're sealed up, I've never blown one out. If you leave them open, I've definitely blown them out. But no, it's little tricks like that you learn to make your life easy. You know what I had an operator do one day that caught me off guard? Skates. You have skates on your flatbeds?
Yep.
You know what a skate is? Sarah, do you know what a skate is?
I know what a skate is.
Okay. For those listening, if you guys don't have skates, either you're a wrecker operator that's never seen a flatbed, for whatever reason, skates are made of a polyurethane plastic. Look like little skis. You slam them under the tires. They help the vehicle slide on that instead of dragging the tires and whatnot. Okay. He flipped it over and used it as a ramp. As a little block of wood to get up on stuff. And I went, never thought of that one.
Nope.
Little tricks. 10 years in the industry. And you just go little tricks like that. You know what I mean? Instead of, grabbing out the big wood or whatever it is that he needed for it, was just a slight moment where it was just going to touch. You just needed that little bit. You only needed one on one side. Just grab the skate, flips it over, rolls it up on it, and I go, that's a good idea.
Or it's like if you can't get your rollover pins in a Vulcan wheel lift and you've just scooped it a little bit too tight, if you set it back down nice and gently just to where the weight comes off the scoops will normally slide back a pin or two. And as long as you have your keeper pins in, you tilt it back up. As long as you got enough clearance in between the subframe or the oil pan, you got enough room to put your rollover pins in.
Yeah. I always put them in before I tilt, so never really run into that problem, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all these little tricks that life and towing as a whole is difficult. If you can find little things to make your life easier. We've got an NRC flatbed that has the air switch for the winch release. Do you know how nice that is to not have to walk back up to the front of the bed to re-engage or disengage the bed or the winch? Have you ever used a remote? Oh my Lord, Jesus, it is the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah. It is. You're winching out a car out of the ditch or out of a drive, whatever it is, and you got the remote. You don't have to stand at your truck. You can walk around. You can check clearances. All these little tools that might seem like fancy. You don't need that. I can still get it done with my 92, my 72 homes. You're right, you can. And congratulations for that. But when it comes to these tools on making life easier, oh my God, it's day and night, absolute day and night.
We run axle straps that are 2 feet long. So normally for your safety chains, they're like a foot long or a foot and a half, whatever the case may be. We get ours custom made 2 feet long with a sleeve protector that runs the whole thing. So in the wintertime, those are perfect straps to go through rims if you're pulling something sideways, as long as you're within your weight. And unfortunately, with a lot of these newer vehicles, that's pretty much the strongest point on the car that we got left.
That's true. That is true. So no, what is your tip and trick? What is the one thing? Surprise us. I know there's a lot of you listening and a lot of you that know a lot and love to share their wealth, because I've seen it in the comments. I've seen it in the emails. I've seen it in the YouTube. I've seen it everywhere. What is one trick that you have that you don't think either we've heard about or anyone on the show? And we will take those ideas and talk about them on the show to see if anyone else has. So be sure to email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com or find us on Facebook, The Towing Life Podcast, or over on YouTube. If you're watching there now, easy enough. Throw it down in the comments while you're listening. What is that one tip or trick that you know that we don't? And I'm really curious to hear what the answers are going to be to that one.
Well, instead of having those plastic paint protectors that you get for doing unlocks, everyone carries around a bill book, and normally those bill books have like 3 cardboard pieces on them. Rip one of those off. Use that as a paint protector instead of going out and buying the fancy plastic one.
Well, you can't give away all the tips because we need people to send the tips, G. The whole point is to get them to send.
That one can help people right now.
I don't want to help
content.
I want them to help us.
Well, let me help them first, and they would be more willing to help us in return.
Help
you
me.
See how that works? You
Help
be a
you.
nice guy, you might get something in return.
Okay.
You be a dick, and no one's going to message because they're like, these guys don't have our interests at heart.
I absolutely have them. I told them about the skate upside down thing.
That wasn't even
I
yours.
really like that idea.
I still shared my knowledge. Okay. And speaking of sharing knowledge, you want a tool that's going to make life easier? I'm not saying every day. I'm not saying all the time. But have you seen the back pull hitch? The back pull hitch is a product that I personally talk smack on right on this show. You can find the episode. I got no problem with it. I got nothing to hide. The people over at Back Pull Hitches, didn't quite agree with what I had to say. So instead of just arguing with me, they sent me a product to try. And we put it through its test, and we had some fun with it, and we seen what it could do. I thought it was going to flex in places that it didn't flex. I thought it was going to be blocky and everything to put together. It went together well. The structure of this thing, just coming out of the box, how good of a product it was, how solid it was, I was amazed. And I was amazed at how easily it went together. Towing is about having tools not only in your toolbox on the truck, but in your toolbox upstairs. This is another tool to add to that toolbox in your truck. This thing will save you if a vehicle's got no wheels, no back wheels. If it's, bent axles, there is situations where you will use this. Guys who are hauling might use it more often. It is something to absolutely have in your truck. I talk smack on it. I tested it out. But Kevin over at Back Pull Hitches was way too good to us. Sent us one out, put our money where our mouth is, and in return, we want to promote it to you. It is a tool that could save you in a situation. It has done it to me. Even after I talked smack on this, even after I got this product and I was skeptical, I ran into a situation where I needed that product. And it was the safest and easiest way to get the job done. And without that product, I would have been having a little bit of trouble. It would have made the job a lot worse and a lot tougher. So head on over to backpullhitches.com. That's BAKPUL hitches.com to find yours today and add that extra tool that you are going to need to your toolbox.
Yeah, without that tool, I think you would have been into sending a whole other truck, burning twice the amount of fuel to pick up the same vehicle that your one truck on scene was able to handle with that tool.
Absolutely. I would have had to send a heavy or like a low boy or something and move it onto a low. Like it was a bad situation all around. So having the back pull hitches definitely made it easy.
Speaking about bad situations, I was actually driving home from work the other day. I stopped and grabbed some takeout for me and the girlfriend, and I was driving home in the 5-mile stretch between the restaurant and my house. I saw a tow truck pulled over on the side of the road, so I was like, I'll just pull in behind this guy. It looks like he's picking up a Subaru. He's got the front end in the air, just got to put his dollies on. I'll block him for the next 5-10 minutes, however long it's going to take this gentleman to sling the dollies. So I'm sitting there, and I see a gentleman walking towards me. So I close the gap, and he was like, yeah, so this guy's towing from the city. He's got to go another 100 kilometers north and then drop the owners of the vehicle off, turn around, and go back to where he came from with the car. It's like, oh, okay, that's weird. He's like, yeah, he blew a dolly tire and didn't realize that I chased him down for like 10 kilometers. He was doing $120 when it blew. And I finally got him here now, and now he's planning on towing it without dollies. I was like, oh. He's like, I already told the owners of the car not to let him do it. And I was like, well, that's good. I know in some of those Subarus, there is a fuse that you can pull. He was like, I actually read the whole owner's manual of that car, seeing if I could find anything for this guy, but I couldn't find anything. It's like, oh, well, you're a nice guy, aren't you?
He's just trying to make sure this guy doesn't get screwed by. But that's no offense to guys. That's city tow truck operators. City tow truck operators. No offense to you guys. You guys are great. You guys are hard workers. You're heroes out on the road, just like the rest of them. But you're not used to being away from everything and being prepared for things. We had a rule where we had a dolly tire in the truck, a spare dolly tire in the truck for that exact scenario. When I was out in a rural area that I was in for a while after that, I had a whole dolly hub in the truck because it was easy to, it's a hub. And then I had a rim. So a hub goes, a tire goes. We're talking sometimes you were pretty far away to have to go back to the shop to lose out, to do, or in this case, to decide to tow the Subaru. If it would have caused harm, I don't know, but risk that.
Yep.
For a spare $60 tire on the truck.
We're not talking about a 5 kilometer tow back to your shop without dollies underneath the Subaru. No, he still had like 250 kilometers worth of towing to do. Yeah.
So there's a good chance something was going to get hurt one way or another. So that is not.
But it's all about having tools in your tool shed. Like even if you don't have the room for that dolly tire in your toolbox all the time, if you know you got a long haul and you know you got to dolly it before you leave the shop, grab a spare, throw it in your back seat, throw it underneath the seat, just so you have it, at least for that run.
How many operators do you see will go, all right, I'm going out to this job, okay, and they get there and they go, oh, I'm missing this. You knew you were going to it. You knew what you were going to need. You knew you were going to tow a trailer, let's say. Oh, I'm missing the pin for my hitch. So why didn't you check that before you left? You knew where you were going. You know, you knew it. Things that happen on the road, that's one thing. You get called out to a call. Oh, crap, I don't have this. You improvise, you do that. But when you are leaving from your shop in the morning to go do something, and then you get there and go, oh, where's my jack? Well, did you know you were going to a tire change? Yeah. Did you think of just taking a look through your toolboxes before you left this morning to make sure your jack was there? Somebody didn't have to use it.
You can blame the last guy who used it all you want, but if you didn't check your truck out in the morning before you left, the fault still kind of lays on you a little bit.
It takes 2 seconds to open that toolbox and take account for everything that's in it. And making sure your tools like the back pull hitch are stocked and in your toolbox and ready to go. So yeah, no, it's, and maybe that driver that you met was just tired. Maybe that driver that you met had just been working crazy hours.
Maybe.
What is an appropriate amount of time to work in the towing industry? What is, we talk about hours of operation. We talk about fatigue and burnout in the industry. We've done that over and over again. Why do we talk about burnout so much?
And we joke about, oh, we'll sleep when we're dead.
Yeah. Why do we talk so much about it? Because it is a continuous problem within the industry. So I've got a question. First of all, you're out in a rural area. What do you do for overnight coverage? What is a proper, and I know no two companies are the same. No two regions are the same. No two anything is the same. So take it with a grain of salt. But what are you doing on overnight coverage? And how do you manage it among the staff to avoid burnout and to make it reasonable for guys to give up that kind of time?
So the company I'm with now is a fairly small company. The company I was with previously, it was just me and the owner. So it was, you worked every night and you had every other weekend off. And that weekend that you did work, you were by yourself pretty much. The company that we worked together, that was the company that really had burnout in mind and tried to schedule appropriately. They also had the trucks and the drivers to be able to schedule around that. But the company I'm with now, if you're a full-time guy, you work 12 out of 14 days and you're on call every other night throughout the week. And on your weekend, you start Friday at 7 a.m. and you don't finish until Monday at 6 p.m. So there isn't a lot of room to catch up on a lot of rest, especially coming off your weekend. You might be in that zone of where you were used to staying up till like 2-3 o'clock in the morning and coming home and going right to bed just isn't right in your cards. Or you got to cut your lawn or do some laundry, whatever the case may be. And there just isn't too much room to be able to manage it. So we normally try to hire people that have the experience in the industry, it's kind of hard to train people into that, to where they're learning a new job and now they're learning this whole new routine and learning how to push themselves as hard as the company and the job needs them to push. It isn't the greatest, and we deal with grumpy people, and we're trying to figure out better ways to manage that. And that's part of the reason why I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'll do what I can, and this is what I can do, and I'm more than willing to help you guys out. And they're like, we need the help. So sure. So I took that upon myself. Some people aren't able to do that, and their company isn't as flexible as mine. So I'm one of the lucky ones. I've got nothing against saying it. I am one of the luckier ones to where I can still be in the industry, enjoy my job, and not have to worry about burnout.
Okay. That is all great to hear, but that wasn't the goddamn question. The question was, what is an appropriate amount of time to work?
Well, you asked us how we dealt with burnout. And
I did do that too. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. You went. Okay, I was wrong. I apologize. I'm sorry. It'll never happen again. You heard it
Point
here
to
first.
TowManG.
This is why we don't like having Sarah in the background. She keeps
I
track of
love
If
us.
anyone's
Sarah
keeping
here.
track.
I don't know about you.
Okay, so what is an appropriate amount of time to work? What's a maximum day? Let's start with a day and go to a week and go. What is the maximum hours that an operator should be working in a day?
Ideally or realistically?
Both. Give me both scenarios. Sarah, I'll let you have a crack at this one too.
Ideally, 12. Realistically, I've seen guys, and myself included, go for 24 or more.
Okay, Sarah, what do you think? Ideally, what's the most? Realistically,
Are we
what's the most?
talking 5 days a week?
We're just talking about a day-to-day basis right now.
Let's go to a day-to-day basis to start. Yeah,
Okay, because
and then we'll go in a 7-day week.
All right.
Yes, on a day-to-day basis, what's the
'Cause-
longest an operator should have to work?
12 hours. The longest.
What do you think the reality is?
Like TowManG said, I'm sure it's just on and on and on. And even if you do get to go home, I know you're on call, and I've been there. I've worked on call before, and you're just married to your phone and you can't even rest or relax because you're waiting for it to go off. And that's not time off, and that shouldn't be recognized as time off.
That's reasonable. That's reasonable. I think that's fair. I think in a perfect world, 12 hours to 14 hours.
Yeah.
I don't think 14 is unrealistic.
Yeah.
Do I think it's a day in, day out? No. But I think a 14-hour day a couple times a week isn't going to kill you. But the reality is you're right. 18 can be an easy enough target to hit, and you can hit it quite frequently. And it's running into a problem that, companies need to start putting things in place to help. Like, do you have a general rule out there for, and yourself listening as drivers, what is the rule for if you've been going all day, you're on call and you've been out most of the night, what is your shutdown time? Right? Is there a minimum that your company carries? Is it 6 hours? If you've been out all night, minimum 6 hours before coming in, 8 hours, 10 hours. I don't think it's something that you can really put a policy on, because every situation is different. Every person is different. How long was he going for versus how much time he needs to shut down for? It's constantly, changing. But what should be you would think 8 hours minimum. Yeah, from the time you leave to the time you're back in. But if you think 8 hours minimum from the time you leave to the time you're back in, and we know that you don't just drive home and conk out into your bed and you're done.
Yeah.
I've done that after 26 hours. But after a 14, 16-hour day, it's not the case. You get home, there's unwind time, there's shower, there's eat, there's, spend time with the significant other, and then go to bed, and then get up an hour before you got to be back in, kind of thing. So your 8 hours off is actually only maybe 5.5 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? Like, are we the only industry that does this? Sarah, you said you worked on call being married to your phone. What were you doing at the time, if you don't mind?
I was a vet assistant at a equine surgical clinic.
Okay. And would you say those hours and with the on-call was similar to, like, I know the jobs are nowhere close.
Yeah, that was a hard job, because you're looking at, sometimes an 8-hour day was a nice day, but that never happened. I was usually working 10 to 12-hour days, and it would always be the day that I thought I could leave on time, 5 minutes before I'm about to go home, the call comes in and there's an emergency, and that's just it. Your whole evening's up in the air.
Yeah. That's okay. So
you want to be
it
busy,
shares,
you make plans. Yep.
it shares some similarities with the towing industry.
Well, and
That's
there's
almost
a lot
similar.
of industries like there, but we ran into, in my specific workplace, we ran into the same problem, is that we were understaffed, so that there was no one ever to take over. And I think that that's what the towing industry runs into too, especially with this labor shortage, is that there's no balance in schedules. There's never an extra body that can take over because everybody's running at full capacity.
And we're not alone. Like, if you look at the plowing industries, especially up here in the wintertime, they don't normally get to go home until the snow stops flying, because that's your route. You get it done in the 6 hours. Well, there's still a foot of snow where you first started, and it's a constant battle. And I've worked with a couple of different plowing companies over the years, and there is no real good way, because there's liability on stake. Just like there's liability at us leaving cars on the side of the road. Not as the same, but those are people's lives there that might be affected if we don't show up and do our job in a timely manner. And that's one of the reasons what pushes us personally. I know for me is we got to go pick them up. They're having a bad day. Let's see if we can make it a little bit better and make sure they get to go home to their families too. Like we all wish we could as well at the end of the day.
But do you fear that if staffing is the issue, like you're saying, right? Which, and you're right, with the labor shortage, it's definitely, you're either running at your minimum capacity or below it. But where is the risk on more staff equals less money? Meaning, as a company, the companies have to look at that, and they, sure, you want to make sure that you are done right on time. I'm going to bring in more staff. Okay, and more staff is going to mean less hours, because we're going to have that extra, and there's going to be the slowdowns, and there's the things that we're going to do. So do we sacrifice ourselves for this idea that, oh, no, this idea that we get taught that, oh, well, I don't want to lose money, so I better just keep working harder? Are we sacrificing ourselves to that idea, or is that actually a genuine issue in the industry? Meaning, could we make do with more operators and still make a decent wage? Or,
well, and then you have insurance, and I always forget about that as an issue in the towing industries. It's not like, back in the day when I worked at Starbucks, where I was told it costs $1,200 every time they hire a new person because of the training, and they have to pay someone to train you. Okay, $1,200 is not a huge investment.
No, that's not bad at all.
No.
In the towing industry, you have to invest how much money in their insurance alone?
It's a good.
And so
I'd like to know.
It's too expensive to bring on new staff.
I'm going to reach out for that one for next year. I want to see on average what it costs a company to train a new operator in the towing industry. You're saying Starbucks had that number for $1,200. I would like to know what it cost
15 years ago, but
okay,
that was like 15 years ago.
And they were still charging $7 for a large coffee. That's why they could afford to spend all this money on training, because they were recouping the cost. Because that is the other problem we run into. The industry wants us to train guys and new guys and train them to be top notch and spend all this time and send them for all this training. But then vehicles get abandoned in our yard. We're expected to absorb all these costs, higher fuel prices, everything else through roadsides. So, you know what I mean? What does it cost? You ever see what it costs to send a vac truck out to a job? Those guys are trained out the wazoo. Yeah. You figure out why whenever you get the bill from them.
Yeah.
So, everything comes at a cost. The world and business operates on a dollar. Mm-hmm. And it's all about maximizing that dollar, whether it be yourself as an operator and getting in the hours, the hours to make all that money, or the company trying to cut the corners, in my opinion, in certain departments. It all comes down to the same thing. One thing to always remember is a good quote, and gee, you've heard it here before. I don't know if we talked about it with Sarah on her little show, or her little Who Said It Best, or Who Said It, was lie, cheat, and steal. Right? When times get hectic and we're getting into winter, it's about to slow down right by the fall. It always slows down right as school goes back. And winter is coming. And when winter gets here, always remember to lie, cheat, and steal. Lie with the ones you love at night, cheat death every day, and steal time away from this goddamn industry before it consumes you. So those are my notes. As burnout becomes a bigger and bigger issue with the labor, shortage, and the, everybody's looking for help, and guys are running crazy to try and keep everything afloat. It is good things to keep in mind during these times.
I think it's a little bit bigger than that too. Like a lot of it is what you said was money, and especially a lot with these roadside calls is you don't make a lot of money on a per call basis. It's volume where you make your money. And I actually had this question proposed to me a couple of weeks ago. Oh, why don't you guys have a light service truck to run around and do boosts and unlocks and tire changes and that kind of stuff? And I was like, well, there's a couple of reasons. A, that's another truck on the road. We have to hire another driver. And that's a lot of quick, easy money for all the towers that is just going to one guy. So now we've got, let's say we got 4 tow trucks on the road all day and 1 light service guy who's running. Well, now we can't have those light service calls. So there's probably at least 45% of our call volume just gone away from the towers themselves.
No, that's the okay. Can't believe I'm saying this. That is the problem with a commission operator.
Yep.
That's 100% the commission operator. Because from a business standpoint, that light duty service vehicle is going to be the most efficient thing you have in your fleet. And the argument you're using not to use it is because my guys aren't going to make money. Well, your guys should be making money regardless because they should be getting paid. And the light service should be where you're actually just increasing your margins a bit by being so efficient with a vehicle. Yep. So that is the problem with. And,
I always forget you're hourly. I always forget that.
We'll do it again. We had a very interesting conversation back in episode 7, I want to say it was, with Frank Dorval of Strong Arm Recovery, where we talked about hourly versus commission. And these are good points where that debate comes back, because you're right. From your standpoint, I've been a commission driver. You're 100% right. That service vehicle is going to take away those easy money calls that you get throughout the day that you can knock off. And then instead, you're just going to be stuck doing the tows. You're going to do less call volume. You're going to make less commission. But what's funny is at the end of the day, okay, let's throw this light service vehicle into there. Let's throw somebody in it. At the end of the day, is the company doing the same amount of calls?
Yep.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yep.
At the end of the day, the company is doing the same amount of calls and being more profitable. And yet, you're worried about making less money. That's all I'm going to say on that.
But that's the big thing about you wanting to work more. If I don't work, I'm not getting paid, especially if there isn't the calls there. So you're going to sit there and sit on call and just wait for the next one.
Joke's on you. If you work hourly, where I work, and you're sitting around, you ain't going to work there either. You better be motivated to work.
This is what makes the towing industry extremely unique, for better or for worse. It's because you don't get that. Okay, there should be an option. Do I want to work more so I can make more, or do I want to work less and have more time in my off time? But the towing industry, you don't really end up with that option, because you guys provide an essential service. You need to be out there. Somebody needs to be out there clearing the roads. And I think, like, from an outsider's perspective, that's what public perception doesn't really get, is how essential the towing industry is. And that's what kind of that's what takes the choice away from you guys, is that you don't get to be like, oh, well, yeah, today I just want to work 8 hours and I know I'm going to miss out on $100, but like, I want to be home with the family. But there's calls that need to be done, and who are they going to go to?
How many times have you seen? I've seen restaurants in different places right now. Oh, we're not serving, or we're closing early for these days because of staffing issues. When's the last time you seen a towing company say we're not accepting calls because of staffing issues? Right? You're right.
You have the option.
You don't, and especially if you're doing, police work and all that kind of stuff. It's a whole other level to it, with priority wise. And so it's true, the calls have to get done, but the industry as a whole is still trying to figure out what the best way is to do it. And I don't think that there is a one simple solution that one size fits all. I don't believe that hourly would work across the board everywhere.
You know what this all came from? The first guy who put 24 hours on a truck is to blame, and I want his phone number, and I would like to punch him in the head personally.
I agree. Whoever decided that 24 hours was a good idea on a tow truck, that guy. I blame the guy who created the first tow truck. He should have let them figure it out themselves. Yeah, which would be Ernest P. Holmes.
That is correct.
Hey, ding, ding, ding. I got my point back from my comment earlier. Perfect. We're even. But no, it's true. It's the industry. It always feels like I'm shitting on the industry whenever I say that. The industry is the industry. But I do think that it's time that we start finding ways to improve. God knows the equipment is getting better, and the technology is advancing.
And I'm
So
hoping
why
our
the
training's
hell-
getting better too.
So why the hell are these old school ideologies still, so prominent in the industry of your job is to see how hard you can go before you literally fall apart? Right?
It doesn't seem like a good business strategy for your employees anyways. And I know I'm talking again from as a naive outsider, but if your towers are burning out, you're losing towers and you're losing valuable towers and having to hire new guys that are going to do more damage, cause you more stress. Yep. Look after the guys you have.
Absolutely. I think that's the moral of the story.
And girls.
Anyone, yeah, exactly. And anyone that's listening, please don't think this is I'm just going on a bitch fest and I'm tired of working in towing. I'm not, because I'll be the first guy that, trust me, I've done it recently, where go out and do stupid hours. I'm a hypocrite to what I'm saying here. I say, we shouldn't be doing that, and at the same time, I'm dumb enough to go do it. So don't get me wrong. It's just, it starts somewhere, and I think the industry is due for advancement, right? In all kinds of ways, and maybe I'm just seeing that for the region that I'm in. Maybe that's just an Ontario thing that I'm seeing. Maybe there's states like Ohio and different things who have. I know they have these government clearance programs in I want to say it's Ohio, Georgia, and different work with the associations. Maybe they found something that I don't know. I can only speak for my experience here, and it's, in my opinion, something that needs to advance at the same rate that the rest of the world and the rest of the industry is advancing at. Is all I'm trying to get at.
Just because you've been doing it for 20 years doesn't make it right. You could have been doing it wrong for 20 years. You never know until you try something new.
We're finding that out about all the people they're tearing statues down about. Sarah, you have a moral dilemma, or as what'd you call it earlier? A moral dilemma? A moral dilemma. I like that.
That's like a dad pun.
Yeah. Did you call him up? Hey, I'm doing this thing on a tow show and it's a moral dilemma. And he's like, moral dilemma. And you're like, gold.
I am a sucker for dad jokes.
That is fair. So what do you got for us this week?
Well, it's kind of funny because we ended up talking about what I was thinking up, but we talked about it from someone else's perspective.
That means the show's over. Good night, everyone.
No. I want to know what you guys would do. Okay.
Sarah blew it.
It's your day off. It's your precious day off. And I know how precious those are to you. Your phone's off. You aren't thinking about towing. Do you have a day where you don't think about towing, or is it just always on your mind?
Oh.
I've got the signs
okay,
up
so
there.
it's one of those days where you're trying really hard not to think about towing, and you see a young guy at the side of the road hooking up a car, and he's doing something wrong. Either he's forgotten his wheel straps or he's dulling a flat. What do you do? Do you stop him and do you help him, or do you just drive on by?
I'll drive on by even if I'm working. I mean, I'm depending. Like if it's one of my guys sitting there, absolutely not. If I'm out of my area, it's this guy I've never seen. No offense to you. Flag me. You're not going to flag somebody down, but hopefully you have somebody that can help train you. I'm being real. I'll give you the real answer. I'm not stopping. As for if I'm off work and my phone is off, first of all, that doesn't happen. And second of all, no. Honestly, no. I cannot say that there is a day, and it doesn't matter what I am doing, where I am. And this is the lie, cheat, and steal. Again, I'm a hypocrite. Because no, I can for sure say that there's not a day that I haven't thought of towing, at least in one way or another, throughout within a 24-hour period ever since I've started towing.
Yeah,
that's sad,
but it's true. Like I know myself. I've got a tow truck sitting on my desk towing a tractor in front of me. I've got posters around with tow trucks on it. I've got die cast models out in my living room. Like as soon as I walk into my house, I see things that scream towing. So even if I wanted to shut my brain off, I couldn't. But going back to your question, if I see you driving down the road or trying to hook up something on the side of the road, I'll normally stop and block if I have the time, because I have the truck and I've got the lights, and I do that anyways, right? And normally I don't get out of the truck because I'm watching that mirror and I've got my hand close to the horn in case I see something about to hit you. But if I'm, let's say, at the local Walmart or something, and I see you trying to load a car in the parking lot, and that's my day off, I might say, "Hey, man, how's it going?" See if he needs a hand, or see if he's like really struggling with something with like a ball joint. I'd say, "Hey, do you want a hand, or would you like me to show you the way I do it, or something like that?" But I'm not necessarily going to stop on the side of the highway, because then there's more people, more confusion, and that's his scene, and he should be in control of that and know what he's doing if he put himself in that position in the first place. But if he's in a parking lot controlled environment, that's more of a play around, try to figure shit out environment. Sure.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think when you throw the parking lot idea into it, like you're going into Canadian Tire on a weekend to grab something, and you see a guy loading a car out in the parking lot, I might kind of peek over, and if this guy looks like he is
It's his
struggling,
first day out by himself, and he's got a brain fart. Yeah.
Go over, talk to him at least, kind of, maybe not offer your help right away, but just kind of talk to him, see if he's open to some suggestions, that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't think I could walk by somebody like that. But yeah, driving down the highway and, or a side road, and there's just a guy loading a car, like it's not a dangerous situation. There's no need for a blocker, anything like that. Whoa, I'm gone.
But I hope he slowed down and moved over first.
Of course. That goes. That
so
goes
it's more like a not a whoa.
Yeah. It's
your sound effects weird sound of
it. But yeah, no, but no, we think about towing way more than we should, and I think that's anyone that. I think the reason for that is because to work in the industry as long as you and I have worked, and by no means are we comparable to some of these veterans and these legends that are out there at 20, 30, 40 some years. But I've been at it 10 years, just under, I think now, or just over. I can't remember. I don't keep track. Facebook tells me every once in a while my memories. And yourself, 5, 6, whatever it is. You don't make it, I think, that long in the industry without a passion. And that's like anyone who has a passion for anything that they do they ever stop thinking about it? Right? You know what I mean? There's always those people that are, love to talk about their job. And I believe those people, as much as they're annoying and as much as I will be that person at times, is because they actually truly have a passion in their job. And that's why they probably do it as long as they do. That's why they love it so much. And that's why they're so happy doing it.
Yeah,
so
we live and breathe this industry, whether we like it or not, we do. And it makes us a part of who we are, because no matter how long you've been in the industry, if you know how to do the job and you've been in those shitty situations, if you've done a fatal, all these things change who you are, whether it's big things or little things. This industry changes people for better or worse. I don't care what you think, but it does. And if you're still working in it, you are the person you are today because of the industry. And I think that ties into why you kill yourself with all the hours, and why you do the shitty calls, and why you put your pride in before your pocketbook and all that kind of good stuff. It's because we all live and breathe this wonderful, at best, industry.
Hell, listener, if you're sitting there on your time off or while you're working, listening to Towing Podcast, you are probably part of that problem.
That's not a problem.
We are happy to have you, but welcome to our messed up, twisted world. Obviously, you are a part of it if you will take the time to listen to Towing Podcast while you are either towing or not towing. So
we're
Sarah,
preaching to the choir.
Sarah, I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it did. I also have to say that the towing industry is the only industry I've ever talked to anybody in that I've heard the cliche 1,000 times. So it's not just a job, it's a lifestyle. But the towing industry is the one industry that actually embodies that. Like, when people say that to me, they're being really authentic, and I believe it. And, kudos to you guys. You do a good job. I see what you're doing out there. The whole world might not know how hard you guys work, but
my wife doesn't know how hard I work. How am I supposed to let the world? How's the world supposed to know? So, on that note, I think that is a great way to end the episode. I want to personally thank each and every one of you for listening. Don't forget, you have a chance to see us in person at the Ontario Tow Show, September 17th, 16th, 17th, 17th, 18th.
16th, 17th.
Go back to the beginning of the episode. You will find out how. In Cambridge, Ontario. Don't forget to book your hotel, camping, whatever it is you want now. We can't wait to see you there. Producer Sarah will not be there. Myself and TowManG will be there. We are going to have a good time. We are going to sit down. We are going to talk with you. So on that note, on behalf of all of us, I bid you
And our
adieu.
wonderful sponsors.
And our amazing sponsors for this and every episode, ToeSoft NBA products. Thank you guys for checking it out. See you next time. Take care.
Toodles.
Bye.
Okay, cool. We have anything else to discuss? Because I gotta go check with my wife. I think she's dying.
That's
Is
terrific.
blue
Thank you
still
so
your
much.
favorite crayon, or did you try a different color yet?
I like the green ones now.
You like the green ones now?
I like the green ones now.
All right.
Okay.
Good night, buddy.